So it's no secret that I've been out of the format for quite a bit. But I think it's gonna be pretty fun if I still try and do the No Riches Valley surveys for August 2025. I had a lot of enjoyment doing the last one. I thought it was cool. Uh, but let's do it. Let's take a bit of background, Joe. No Riches has been doing No Riches stuff. The format the format here seems completely different from what you see in RJP. This is the No Riches 124, 154. These are the weekly tournaments happening every Sunday. And and I wanna see that some of the the decks that you see here are pretty different from what you see in JP. And it's a very drastic difference. Here we are seeing Poker Nights. Poker Nights Gaming. We are seeing alongside. I'm trying to find the game. Oh yeah, here we're seeing a little bit of Thindango. We're seeing the Thindango Gaming. To chain. It's a very powerful deck. It's a deck that it's very annoying to deal with on the playground. But we also have a No Riches Japan. Here we're happening the daily tournaments. The final matches are always streamed. We're seeing. We're seeing games. We're seeing a different format. No, we're seeing Tri Brigade. I mean, we're seeing final Tri Brigade versus Manifest. This is this seems like a capsule, like time capsule. This should not be in the end, but it is. Here also we see here that if we skip a little bit, we're gonna see Bandred versus Shiranui, which I found pretty funny. Now, granted, these daily tournaments are very few. There's a less quantity of players compared to the standard weekly tournament and the big Massa Cups, the NRJP Cups, the Champions tournaments, But here we're gonna see Mutant, a I think very underrated deck right now. I think people should be playing more of these. A lot of the support they got is really good thanks to Minimalist. They can play. I saw someone playing the Metaphys engine, to get cards and banish the Metaphys cards. That was really cool to see. We can also see here. I think it's the same video. I actually put. Yeah, I accidentally put the same video. Yeah. So these are mostly sometimes voiced by Masa, so check them out. Of course, follow the No Riches Japan. It's pretty simple. It's pretty understandable. The time zone might be difficult for you, but it's manageable. And lastly, Lemon Waigio. Lemon Guaggio is our guy who's currently running. I'll leave the links down below, so you get to do your own No Riches Valley survey if you're interested. Make your voice speak. But without out of the way, are you an active participant in NR format? I feel that if I put no, I'm gonna get clown though. I'm gonna say yes, but I don't play often. So what is the best deck in NR right now? This is a pretty weird question to me. I think the obvious answer is Thindango. What a shock! A Thin deck that cast flip support is good in NR. Actually, that's a very surprising fact. Considering that historically, Pendulum deck has been very powerful. You have Pendulum, Tri-Brigade, Metaphys. Not Metaphys. Generator, Bandred. But right now is undoubtedly some of the most popular decks. Poker's Night and Thindango. And if we scroll down the No Riches Japan list, we're gonna see Chris Strong Box. We're gonna see this deck, which is I find really cool. This is like a mutants deck. It doesn't seem like, but the difference between mutant and Tintangle is basically that one is more aggressive with their pushover, that more is direct damage. The other one is like is playing with needle ceiling. It's a very like it's harder to play than it seems like. Here we have, for example, wow. I wasn't expecting to see Goldie in the current format. Material Actor is also like a really cool format. If I must say, like out of the bat, what's the best deck in the format? I will just say Tintangle. Pretty simple. What would you rate the current format? So right now I'm not playing, but I've actually been spectating. So as a spectator sport, I'm gonna say that I can get a little bit meh, especially watching the weekly tournaments. They can get into these really grindy, like slog games, which I'm actually really a fan of. The problem is that some of these really slow games can get really boring because like the opponent has a massive advantage, but they cannot do the killer as fast as they should. So it has a lot of resilience, so they keep surviving and they get punished. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think Tintangle is one of the best. One-sided torrential trivia. Whether that will be great in the format. So I'm unfortunately gonna put myself on a 6 out of 10. There's a reason why I'm not playing. There are other reasons why I'm not playing. One other reason because I was not enjoying myself playing that much. What do you think are the upsides with the current format? I think one of the upsides is that if you enjoy recursion, if you really enjoy like engines that recur to each other and they can gain advantage, they can go to the moon. That's the format for you. I think the upside with the current format is that there are self-recurring engine fans will like the gameplay provided by Poker Knights, Wisteria, Crystron, Infinite and Lion, and the Lion, the general stickiness of Fiends. What do you think are the issues? I think a weird issue is that I think there has been a huge power creep in the format. I think there's a lot of decks that is really hard to justify in the current environment. That's gonna eventually turn the format into an Edison's type of nostalgia. Like people are gonna want to play like FM, probably not even FA, but Unchained. Like I don't think Unchained is playable, not even a little bit currently. You cannot play like Unchained Kaiju anymore. You have to play FA Unchained to ever has a slim chance, and that's because they play a floodgate. It's part of the natural building of a format. You know how in Edison, like Dandy Warrior is not like a good deck considered right as it's like a tier 2, like a tier 3, but people still play that deck because they miss that experience. It's kind of the same like here, like rocks. You have rocks. That rocks. I think one of the worst one is Tramit. I don't think Tramit is like playable. So I'm gonna say the overall power creep on the format that benefits, that leans towards infinite, quote unquote infinite engines. That's one of the things that makes you good in the format. There is a mill is good because they can always recruit advantage, they can always recycle back. So does Inferno. I haven't even mentioned Inferno. Poker Knights is like a more aggressive version of Inferno right now. Wisteria give the Infinite Alliance decks a lot of power. Christian is kind of difficult to say, but in Dangle then you have like it's probably a pilot, but it's not completely different like Stratosphere. Which deck do you think needs to be addressed? That's a complicated question for me to say. Here's the thing. I can say that Christian. I don't have a problem with Christian as an engine. I think Christians. They have a lot of the problems that people have with Christian is that they want to deal with Christian the same way they deal with everything, which is dynamic issues, torrential trip, and that doesn't work with Christian, you know. And unfortunately, it's sometimes really hard because people are still neglectful towards background removal like MST and Heartbeat because there are sometimes the cards just don't do much versus decks that you will expect to do a lot. You can hit a Turtle Succession or a Dark Factor more production. If anything, this question is weird because I have more problems with certain powerful cards, you know, or the lack of there, which is strange. I don't have a problem with Christian. I've always got an issue with Cody, but I cannot justify Cody. Like, Cody, when it was the best deck in the format, they got like a hit on the wrist, and they immediately got a little bit buff nets back, and people just don't play because they find it boring. Not only that, but because there are better decks right now. So, I'm not too keen into Cody. If anything, I want Invert Noble to be buff. Because I really miss Bullline. Bullline was a really cool part of the format, but I will gonna go into that later. So I guess Team Dango. I don't think Travergate needs to be addressed. The only reason people say this is probably because Book of Moon is back in the format, and he's one of the premier Travergate players. You know, he's always pushing that deck forward. Because I think he really enjoys the game loop that Travergate provides. So I find it weird saying that Travergate is the deck needs to be like no. Virtual War, I haven't seen it done much. In fact, we can go again, check the reaches Japan. We can scroll down, and I think we're gonna find I think this is a very smart deck. If anything, like. Yeah, but for example, you can see this is Fiend Flip, how I call it Fiend Slop if you want to be more grotesque about the term. Wow, they're even playing Fiendes. We have Infernoble. We have Fiend. Like, yeah, Virtual has done not a lot. I guess it's frustrating deck in rooms. You know, because it can push back. For example, like, this is a deck that I also find cool, but at the same time, like, it has cards that I consider problematic right now in the format. Like, look at the Dark Factor Armor Productions, look at the walls, you know, that always provide a body to draw. Like, this is a draw engine. Like, what you're seeing here is a draw engine that wins in value. It's not perfect, of course. Here are playing the Paleozoic because they are beneficial to discard into the graveyard. They don't have like an exact win con, they just have a game state that they want to keep the Infinite Alliance, which is infinite now thanks to walls. So I think my only real issue with right now is Team Django. Decks to hit, like, these are a lot of decks that I think they deserve a shot again. But it's complicated. Luna Light. Oh, Luna Light is such an odd deck to balance out because let me put you right now. You can see here the ban list. I was gonna open the in our spreadsheet. First of all, shout out to the graphic designers of the No Riches team. Really cool. Here are all of the forbidden cards. And yeah, here they have banned. We have banned Lunalight, Blue Cat, Lunalight Perfume. You know, Lunalight Perfume is a powerful 3-off. It's a Rhoda that also discards. Has a powerful effect. It's a Rhoda plus a Monster Reborn. Like, the deck is really powerful. I would love to explore the possibility to play with Perfume, but There has been in the past like an aggro deck that is super aggro, but it's also very flimsy, called Terrabrega Crusadia. And they deploy one card that basically banishes Kaleido Chick from the deck, and Kaleido Chick has an effect that stops your opponent from doing anything in the battle phase, you know? So you will use that, you will make a powerful Crusadia monster and then kill the opponent, you know? It creates very unfun game loops. It's a very cheesy game. It's very cheesy, very gimmicky. It saw a lot of success in the dailies, but it hasn't seen a single like top on the regular stand in the regular events. So it's hard to say. I would love Luna like Dragon Black because it's a style of game that I really enjoy. You know, they can play defensively and they are also an aggro deck. They are kind of challenging to play. They are not like super easy autopilot, but we have tried to check Luna Life so much. The worst part is that Kalerchik is such an important game player that I don't know. I don't think in good faith I can say fast for Luna Light. Falcon and Fast Magic. Falcon create less interesting game. Fast Magic come down finally, you know. I think we can be leaning more to Fast Magic. Like the power creep has been too harsh to Fast Magic. It has been very harsh. Like Fast Magic doesn't play well into the current decks. You know, Poker Knights, Grey Strong. They can. I was gonna say the Pelios, but of course, yeah, Fast Magic can do it. But the point is that I think it's finding a point where the current state of Fast Magic, which, for those who don't know, Fast Magic is a combination of Symphonic Warriors and I forgot the names. Bambuku. Let's call it Bambuku. Okay, it's a deck that I finally think has its prime. I'm gonna say Megalith. Bathor, I think will come back. You know, Bathor. Like every single person who's gonna play against Bator, against Megali, they know where to hit it. They know how to react to this deck. This deck has certain lines of play, you know. But at the end of the day, they are getting a new tool that are gonna help them go second to push into back row. Megali has already it's already great going first, but it's still a bricky deck. It's still a ritual deck in NR. So there's so much you can do before fixing that problem. I think Megalith deserves a shot. Metalfoes and Pendulum, we just saw it getting like a semi, you know. It just got second place in one of the daily tournaments. The deck is not dead. The deck is actually, I think, I don't like the idea. I don't think in good faith we can hit me. Let's hover towards this. I mean, a lot of these cards are banned to certain crimes of certain texts, you know. We can see Neshadow Ariel, Dragonmaid Laundry, Cutter Shark. We can see Rise of Full High, you know. A lot of these cards are in jail due to Tirlament's crimes, you know. Unhidden Meal is the challenging task. It's one of the most difficult decks to balance out. I think it's possible. Like, I think if we trade Halfness for Laundry Dragonmaid, not only you bring back Dragonmaid to the format, but you also like annihilate one of the most annoying cards in the format, in my opinion. You know, like Halfness is a really powerful card that is a little bit difficult it's more difficult to play around that one thing, and so that you just have to play into it. You know, what are you gonna do, stop your plays? Like, no, you have to keep your advantage versus Mill, because every single time they can create advantage. You know, if anything, it's crazy that it's finally hit the point where Mill is not the best deck, considering they have Wisteria, you know, which has seen success with Mill and Preplan from last time that I was in server. Again, every single opinion you have to take it with a grain of salt. For the longest time, I believe in Terrorgate. Now I realize it's just a player's issue. People just don't want to play that deck. I was a long time. I was part of a support. Actually, I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna support Bendred and Terrorgate and Mill. And my argument is gonna be because I want Bender to be unbanned, and so for Bender to come back to the format, we need to to bring back some of the better pieces, like some more text that can play through the Bender layer. Which of the following changes would change Crystal? So I imagine people are still a little bit annoyed that Crystal is such an omnipresent engine because it's Smiger, yeah, Smiger grab the Crystal Trap card, the Crystal Trap card, then you set it and you have immediately interaction, you know? It's theoretically good in Meal. You can play it in Orcus because it's a machine, and there's actually, I saw a deck a long time ago that was playing that. It was a really cool deck. You have Fluffle too, but they also play the Fluffle engine. This is one of the reasons why I don't want Metal to be powerful back, because there's a parent of the deck called Metal Magic, which they play the Fluffle cards and they generate an obscene amount of advantage. It's very brutal in such an aggressive playstyle of deck to just get a lot of draws. So the way I will hit it is on probably hitting Toy Vendor. Fluffle Dolphin might be the card. You know, Fluffle Dolphin stops you from getting the one card immediately. You can still get like draws, but you have to play more 2-card combos. With Dolphin in the format, it's super easy to go for a +2, so I'm actually gonna... It's mostly only happening once, you know, and Fluffle Dolphin is interruptible, but I think this hit is more for aggressive playstyles because I want to bring back the aggressive playstyles. You know, I would like to see the aggressive playstyle come back if the Fluffle Dolphin back. Actually, I'm gonna type in yeah, Fluffle Bear, like Crystal don't deserve to die, like, come on. Fluffle deserve nothing. Fluffle don't deserve nothing bad. Fluffle Dolphin to 0 if Metal Falls is unhit. No, I don't. I think the correct one is Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor is such an interesting card. Toy Vendor is generally such an interesting card. You'll have to play Dog instead. Let's take up this a little bit more through it, you know? Because I'm doing this live, of course. If you have only 1 or 2 Toy Vendor, that means you can only do the draw combo a little time, and sometimes you might want to do it. If you get Fluffle Bear, you'll have the capacity to do the middle plays that don't take dance once, but you also have to play a lot more cards. I really like the application that Toy Vendor have in like other decks because it plays like the gold sarcophagus. You know, you use it to discard cards. I really like it to in Orcus, for example. I think it's an interesting place in Shadows. Another pet deck that I've been looking at in Crystal, like sometimes you just want to discard cards, and hey, if you get the flow cards, I guess you get that summon. So I'm gonna say Fluffle Bird because I find Toy Vendor interesting. And then you just play like Fluffle Dogs otherwise. Which of the following changes you would like in Goaty? So I don't like Snopios. I think that's the most frustrating part of Goaty. More than the trap card, more than the easy removal. I think Snopios is the most egregious card in the deck. I've always disliked Snopios because it allows you to go for huge pushes. It allows you to come back like you have 0 resources and then you just top deck the card and you say, oh well, I'm gonna banish the Snopios to summon back I forgot the card. I think it was Enoch. Yeah. So I allowed you to make Corby aggressive, which I guess is cool. But the deck is just I find it unfun to play against, you know? It's a deck that does the you interrupt once and it starts losing out of nowhere, and then they draw the Snow and said, oh wait, never mind, actually winning. I understand it's the third part of the deck that it probably needs, but they're getting back Nimble Angle Tree will allow for another angle for Goaty to play, you know? Like we just got we just got it was like 3 months ago. 3 months ago we got the Abyss Spike, you know, the link tree that allows you to play the quick spell. I think that's interesting. I think there's an angle for play there. Abyss Keeper is a nice hit. I don't think it's the hit you want to do. Like, yeah, it's gonna do harm to the deck, but you really want to eliminate this keeper. I think that's one of the reasons people play the deck, you know. There are smart ways, you know. Enoch, no. Also, just remember, Enoch is the one that summons something from the graveyard. I will fuck with Enoch 2-1. I will fuck with that. But for now, let's put Snopios. I'm not the type of person that gets mad because the ban list gets cluttered. You know, if the ban list is big, well, the ban list needs to be big to have a competitive format. You know, when Lemon sometimes talking in the past, no, it was Destiny probably, who said, hey, I think it will be better to make the ban list less clumsy, less cluttered, so that people have an easier time to take into the format. Part of me thinks, why would you do that if the reason why the ban list is big is because we want to keep a healthy format? Like, the reason a lot of these cards are banned is because they're pretty toxic, they're pretty annoying, you know? Like, Velvet Pop is a really powerful card. I would love it to be back. You know, I think there are cool decks you can play, but it's a really powerful card in Target. You know, the moment you bring that, it becomes like a staple engine, and it sees a lot of play in Target. Like, the Malfi cards already see play in Target, you know? The same I can say for Dijin. The same I can say for Battling Boxer. You know, there are like obvious cards, you know, like the Floodgates. Fool is actually the problem card in Megalith, you know. Clockwork Knight, I love Clockwork Knight, but you cannot bring Clockwork Knight. I would love to bring Clockwork Knight, but realistically, people have a lot of problems with that. Like, you see, there are some cards troublesome. There are other cards that I will make a strong argument for. Let's see. Which of the following cards would you like to see in Infernal Therion? So I'm part of the brigade that where is it? What? I'm part of the brigade that Therion Bullet should have never been hit, okay? It's a ban that makes sense because of the outreach of the people at the time, you know? Therion Good Stuff was a deck, but I think a lot of problems will be solved if people could just play Therion Bullet. The best deck could probably also play a Therion Bullet engine, but I don't see a much bigger reason to do that if they're already playing like good cards, you know. The only deck that I could see being benefited by playing Bullet that are not Infernal Therion are the Infinite and Lion decks, because they're already a good stuff pile of cards, but good stuff is only good. It's not the best. Yeah, they are self-recurring engines. If anything, I will put it to 2 or 3. You know, I can make Therion Bullet debatable. You know, Therion Bullet helps with Crystons. It helps in the Dark Factory more production, where it can even be a beneficiary of Dark Factory. You know, I think it's a very interesting card to have in play, because it's basically a reinforcement of the army that is also a 2400 body, a 21,000 body, that also allows you to play a bigger Therion package and play like a bigger deck. You can focus on Therion. Like, I bring to the NRCS Therion Make Nice. It unfortunately underperformed, but the testing of the deck was like, I think it was pretty heads up. I think those are the type of cards we're missing. I think Therion Bullet to 2 would be a good hit. I would like Therion Bullet to be unlimited. I think 2 can be a good start. So I think from this list, I could see 2 things. I could see people bringing back Kirill. Reinforcement Truth is a very powerful card. The card was banned in the NR format, so people knew something. They knew something that we don't know. But also, Heroic Champion Jangreaper. I could see a trade. They ban Jangreaper and they allow you to play Bullline, because one of the most powerful interactions is that they can go Bullline, target itself and target anything, and then Junk Rabbit will protect the bull line. And people already dislike Junk Rabbit, you know, because it's a Colganda style of effect. Like, sheesh. Like, I think it's just a natural part of, you know, it's just not a natural part. Infernoble, I think one of the things that it performs the best is that the self-recurrence. Like, can easily bring a non-targetable body, you know, and if they get destroyed, they get advantage into Mogus. So, I will do that. Oh, Tindango. Tindango. You are a very annoying deck. I think you're gonna be the deck that's gonna kill Neil Sealing. And I agree. Also, Terrifying Toddler, you know? I have never had a problem with the engine itself. I think it's a very powerful. I'm glad it allows for play for all of the deck. But the things that enables are have become toxic over the long, you know? I will have to read Tintangle Intruder 1 second. So I have heard from my good friend Wizrat, you know, which I'm gonna leave his Twitter down below. He's currently one of the best players in NR. That this is the problem current Tintangle. Like, this is the quote. This is like capital P powerful card of the format, you know. From what I'm reading, yeah, it makes sense. Like, this card is like a pretty powerful card, you know. Inflate Palatine Dangle is a level 6, so for crazy pieces already has a pretty good attack stat. When the card is normal summon, send a Teen Dangle card in advance special summoning field. You can special summon this, so it's a bunch of really strong effects. I've seen the experimentation in Virtual War Teen Dangle, and this is a major player in the deck. That being said, I'm still not fully convinced to hit it. Like, if people that have played this format more, like the current format, you know, because I've been playing NR for a long time, disagree, I would love to hear that, you know, like DM me or tell me anything, but I think I'm happy with that, you know, I'm happy with this. Terrified Toddler Torment, it's a card that I personally dislike. The reason why I personally dislike it because I think it's a card that generates advantage in a very silly way. It's one of the main reasons why Subterror Succession is a really powerful card in these decks. Being able to just be a fully spread for anything is great, you know. Being a level 3 is also relevant. Like 3-6 are a really premium level stat. And Neil Ceiling and lastly, Terrifying Toddler is like a card difficult to interact, you know, because if it's on the field, you have to find a way to destroy it, and you cannot dynamite it precisely, you know. Lightning Board, you cannot even Lightning Board it, so you might think, oh, I'm gonna go. One of the only reliable ways to do is you summon Meteor Burst and then attack, but then they probably have a farewell gun, so your Meteor Burst is gonna get stopped, and they're gonna trigger the Terrifying Toddler. So a lot of the times you have to just give it away. One of the reasons why I would like Therion Bullline in this format is because this is one of the few cards that can deal with Toddler, you know. One of the reasons why people don't play, what's it called? Crossout Designator, you know, target a face-up card, a face-down card your opponent controls, banish it, is because a lot of these cards, a lot of these decks already play ways to replace the losses. So even if you play the Therion Bullline, you probably have to hit Subterror Succession away. You have to play a way to manage Subterror Succession and then deal with the Terrifying Toddler, because Terrifying Toddler will get an advantage, and even then, if you're going out of your way, your opponent's kind of winning because you're investing a lot of resources in that. That said, just the general gameplay when it works, I don't like. I find Terrifying Toddler Success of Torment. I already called it bad. Annoying. I think it's fair to hit cards because you find them annoying. I find Dark World Puppetry annoying, but you know, that's a card that powerful fiend decks get to play. I think decks deserve powerful cards, you know. Having a one-sided board wipe? I don't know. Which of the following changes would you like to see Trevor? Oh, wait, we're doing this. Okay. I have heard the White Rabbit. White Rabbit is the Lunalite card that, let me just put it on screen. So yeah, this is the in archetype backward removal from the deck, and it can also normal summon and revive something. From experts, players of the deck like me, yeah, I've heard this card is actually like one of sensical to hit. You know, if we want to make a trade list, and you know what, I think it's such a tremendous format. I think it's fine. No, wait, that actually has. Okay, let me scratch that. I think if people want to give it a shot, Luna to bring back, which I don't think it's a people, I think it's more of the moderators. I think it's fair. I would love to bring back Lunalite. The thing is, I don't think Tribrigade needs the buff. That's it, this is not a Tribrigade buff, this is a Lunalite buff for the most part. Collider Chick to 0. A man can dream. A man can dream, but the card is very important. Gusto Griffin. Wait, Gusto Griffin? What are you doing? Hold on, I'm not pausing for this. I need to know. What am I missing? What am I missing? Is there a Gusto card? Oh no, this is for the Crusade Tragedia deck. There's probably a Gusto. Oh yeah. So there's a card that is basically Heavy Storm. No, Hey Trunade. Hey Trunade is really good in this format. And then it allows you to get a big body for to deep damage. I say big body, but you technically summoning a Gusto that hits over a Kaiju. People don't play monster hand traps, you know, they don't play Battle Fader, and even if they did, they usually guarantee the Battle Fader effect to never trigger thanks to Kaleido Chick being banished. Oh, I really dislike that deck. I mean, they're asking about Tribrigade, but I probably want to say Lunalite. I'm gonna click in it. You know? Gruesome freaking to do is like, what the hell, sure. Like, yeah. Probably smarter people than me know why. No. I didn't explain my choices. I didn't explain my choices. Okay, so okay. The reasons why I made these choices is because I want to remove the parts that I find frustrating with this I want to remove the frustrating aspects of certain decks while trying to keep their prowess in the format, because it's doable, you know. It's gonna, even if they're worse, they're still powerful, you know. You know, I have more problems with individual cards rather than certain archetypes, which I hope the next page will give us. Which card? Okay, thank God we're here. Oh, you don't know how happy I can to say I need that factory more production needs to die. You know, they're like they're doing Nestle type of bad practices down there. Jesus Christ. Okay, so in a more serious topic, why Dark Factory more production has to go? Dark Factory mass production is a card that invalidates a lot of the removal the decks have, and it turns your engine into draw power. You know, it turns a lot of decks that already have powerful effects into monsters because they cannot, for the love of God, for the love of God, they just keep dodging cards, you know. Dark Factory More Production is powerful in the Bug deck, in the Christian deck, and that's one in Arcus, in everything, you know. It's a really powerful card that I think 99% of the time you can justify playing it, you know, and for good reasons. It's a card that for the longest time I loved. Because it turns, of course, engine to non-engine. It's a discard outlet that teaches into the. But currently, you're always drawing 2 cards. Like, no matter what, you're always drawing 2 cards. If you discard Goalkeeper to draw a card for Dark Factory More Production, you're just drawing 2 cards. Not only that, it's not only about the value, it's about dodging the effects, you know? If your cards get torrential on the stomach, you can just send it to the graveyard to draw a card. If your monster is targeted for dynamo issues, not anymore, you just get Dark Factory. You're forcing, sometimes you can force your opponent to do an action to remove a key monster, and when they use their trap card, you can send the monster to the graveyard with Dark Factory. So you turn the trade positive into you. The card has become a toxic presence into the game. The only reason why I could see Dark Factory More Production staying is because it's one of the few cards that can out wonky Cartel when it doesn't blow up on your face. But guess what? You can link it off. It's a very unforgiving card. I love Kashirauger. I don't think it can come back right now. Koreshak is finally gone, but now we have the power of Mutant. Kashirauger is just a very powerful card. You know, it's like Cyber Dragon. I think having it too is fine. I don't think Pelosoid Armishu has to hit. Pelosoid Armishu is only here because it's one of the cards that players want to hit. You know, people want Pelosoid Armishu because, oh my god, it's so annoying. The card can probably leave. We have alternatives to play with Pelosoid and issues, you know. But it's one of the powerful cards that Tournament gets to play because it's a trap card that also becomes a body, and that's something that not every single card can do. You know, you cannot turn your generic disruption into a level 2 body. But not only a level 2 body, a level 2 aqua body. Pelosoid Enemy Issues, I don't think it's a card that I want hit. It's a card that I understand people want hit. It's a staple in the format, you know. There's times that you might want to play Finish Wind Blast, you know. Raigeki Break, I think it's a card you'll never want to play, but you know, each their own. Marilla is a card that for the longest time I wanted to hit. I'm still kinda do. It's just a foolish burial for certain cards, you know. Primate Howl is one. Primate Howl can actually target one of your Pelosoics when they're on the field. So that's one of the uses. You can also hit. You can also send to the graveyard. The Tournament continuous trap card. You can send some silly stuff. Backup Stab is actually good to send, but you can send the UA trap card to search a spell. It's a versatile card. It's a card that maybe I'm become softer to it, you know. I don't know if that's the powerful card that needs to go right now. The Auxiliary Illumination, so I'm gonna click on it. You know, that's another, and this will affect the Unchained players, I guess. Primate Howl. It's a 2. And apparently it's not even the most powerful. I'm not gonna argue against it, I'm just gonna leave it there. So, Subterra Succession. I've been getting won over by Lemon over the course of the current battles. Subterra Succession, for a long, I also see many ways similar to Dark Factory of More Production, but unlike Dark Factory of More Production, it puts itself in a certain shelf on archetype, and that might be good for you, that might be bad for you, but that's the truth, you know. You cannot play Subterra Succession as generically as Dark Factory or More Production. What does it mean? The only decks that can reasonably play this are Tearlament Shadow and Fiend decks, you know. we already have a really powerful fiend deck. It's fine. It's one of the main abuses of Zero Succession. But I think it's better to centralize, to be more centralized into one or two decks compared to right now every deck that is playing Tire Factory more productions. It makes it easier to target the strategy, and Subterra Succession, although it can always trigger Paleozoics, it can be also easily removed. And even if you hit it at 1, the card is searchable thanks to Labyrinth, Far Welcome Labyrinth. So, it's a little bit of a hold on a second, I'm gonna take a water break. I'll be back. That was a water breakdown. Overall, Subterra Succession makes for more centralization. It's currently at 2. I believe Dark Factory is more of a toxic card compared to Subterror. Lemon has mentioned that Subterra Succession is seen as part of the metagame, you know? It's an icon of the metagame. It's like Mannequin Cat. But I hope the water break was anyone catch the reference, but there's a certain guy that you might know, you know, part of the Pokemon community called PKC, that says that there's no stringy reason to keep part of the identity of the format as long as the format is good. If the format becomes better, even if this quote-unquote iconic part of the format leaves, then it's a good change, you know? The question is, will the format improve if Subterra Succession leaves? You know, because I can say that Fire More Operation will become better, will become like a healthier format. I don't know if I can say the same for Subterra Succession. It will make certain engines worse, certain decks worse. But it might be my nostalgia, might be my soft card, that I'm gonna say no to Subterra Succession. You can stay. Torrential Tribute. Listen, I can't always controversial. I'm just gonna say yes and move on. I don't care. Put it at 1. Put it at 2 and be funny. Let us play Trap Hole. What card do you want to be on hit? This is Bathor. I actually want Bathor back. It's gonna be cool. Pendred Core, I want Pendred Core to be back. I think Pendred is one of the easiest decks to target. You know, there are very cards that make the job. It also allows for one of the coolest version of the deck to exist, which is XYZ. I don't think I have to explain more, you know. Please exchange the choices. Just listen to my video, to my video below. Please leave any final comments you have below. Overall, I love this format. I love NR. I think it's a format that I cherish to my heart. I think currently it's in a state where the power the format has experienced has made me appreciate the format less. And I think reintroducing some of the quote-unquote older decks, if we manage to Store Wisteria. By the way, what's Wisteria? Wisteria. One or Wisteria. It's a really good card. I don't. I may not say this with a joke because I haven't got my chance to play Wisteria. People say it's an obvious broken card. You know. I'm gonna say 2 because I think 2-ups are really funny. I like to see the players get tilted when a card is at 2. Please leave any following comments you have below. Yeah, I love an R. That's it. Yeah, unfortunately I just forgot to put music. I guess I'll have to put music later. If you're wondering why I'm Bendred Clippy, just Google Clippy campaign. I think you will find the answer to that. If not, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description. Thank you very much for watching, listening, and I'll see you all next time.